Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Yeah, amazing love, I know it's true, 'cause it's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you. Yeah. God, I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were condemned. God, I'm alive and well. Your spirit lives within me because you died and rose again. Yeah. See, guess what? Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true, because it's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you. Let's honor our Father. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. God, I'm accepted because you were condemned. Lord, I'm alive and well. Your spirit lives within me because you died and rose again. Yeah. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true, and it's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you. God, the least I can do, yeah, is honor you. Oh, amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Yeah, amazing love, God, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you, God, in everything I do. Yeah, I honor you, yeah, in all I do. I honor you in all I do. I honor you. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were condemned. And I'm alive and well. Your spirit lives within me because you died and rose again. Won't you come to me? I'm all you need. Children, come to me. I'm your everything. Let everything else go and come to me. I'm all you need. Children, come to me. I'm your everything. I'm enough. Hey, I am your anchor through the winds and the waves. He's got you. He's holding you. And I am your steadfast. So don't be afraid. Even when your heart and flesh fail you, it always does. I'm your faithful strength. And I will be with you, yeah, wherever you go. Oh, so God says, come to me. I'm all you need. Hey, yes. Let everything else go and come to me. I'm your everything. Yeah. Children, come to me. He's begging, he's asking. I'm all you need. Oh, come to me. I'm your everything. I'm your everything. Oh, I am your anchor through the winds and the waves, through the hard passage of life. Yeah, I am your steadfast. So don't be afraid as you walk through your valley, even when your heart and flesh fail you. God says, I'm your faithful strength, and I will be with you, yeah, wherever you go. Oh, why don't you come to me? I'm all you need. Yeah. Let everything else go and come to me. I'm your everything. God says, I'm your everything. Yeah, I'm your everything. I'll be all you need. Oh, I'm your everything. I am enough. I'm your everything. Try me and I'll show you. I'm your everything. Give me a chance. I'm your everything. I'm more than enough. I'm your everything. Don't look for your help somewhere else. Come to me. Yeah. I'm your everything. I'll be all you need, yeah. God says I'm your everything. I'm your everything. You don't have to find your help anywhere else. I'll be all you need. I am your everything. Come on and seek me out and you will find. Come on and seek me and you will find. You will find I am your everything. God says I'm your everything. Come to me. Those who are heavy laden, come to me. Those who are I say, come to me. Those who are depressed, come to me. Those who are happy, come to me. I'm your everything. I'm your everything. I'm Jehovah Jireh, your everything. And I will be everything, every little thing you need. God says I'm your everything. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid to come to me, yeah. 'Cause I'm your everything. This is why I sent my son, that you can be forgiven. There's no shame where I'm at all. I want you to come to me. 'Cause I'm your everything. He says I'll be all you need. We exalt thee. We exalt thee.
Just for a moment.
We
You know this song a little strange, just for a moment. And if you can, where you're at watching, you do this too. Just in this moment, just for a few moments. Just get on your knees and bow before the King. Glory to God. Just bow before Him. Just bow before Him. Right where you're at.
We exalt thee.
If you can't bow, then lay prostrate. If you can't lay prostrate, just sit right there and just bask in His presence just for a moment. Stay right there. Stay right there. Stay right there. Just a few more moments. I know we gotta go on with service and hear the message, but I just want to appreciate it for a moment and bask in His presence just for a moment. Feel His arms wrapped around you. Hear Him tell you how much He loves you. Now feel His place. Sing all the glory. Oh, the glory. Oh, Yabashi. Your presence, we your temple, we give you reverence. to give it all to him. This is the Arabasha in the moment. Everybody sing, holy, 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 you are holy, Lord God, Lord God Almighty, God is holy, He's holy, Lord God, you are holy. Yashikanda na masata. Roba baba shikanda na masata. Ikanda na yose kende na yasata na yosa. Ronda na yandi yanda na boko na kante na yandi yonda na masata. Yanda na boko na yanda na kende na bote yanda na yanda na bote yasata yanda na bote. Lord God, yanda na masata. Lord God, Lord God, Lord God. And there is no one like you. You are holy, holy. And there's no one like you. You are holy, holy. And so I hear God say, when you arise new. I hear God say, Yabashi, we gaze upon I am cutting off your past like Solomon the Lord. He told them about beautiful. I'm destroying it. Glorious. Till there be nothing left. No one else like you. As you have gone down to your knees before my presence, I hear God say, as you have gone down on your knees before my presence, say you are beautiful. I'm using you as your sacrifice. Glorious. I am consuming you as a sacrifice before me, says the Lord. Say beautiful. And when you arrive, glorious, know that the old has been killed like you. For he who is in Christ is a new creature. All things have passed away. There's old mentalities, old hang-ups, old connections, all issues, all things are passed away. And we hear all things have become new. Now stand to your feet as you can. We so beautiful, glorious. There's no one else like you. Let your glory up. There's no one else like you. So there is no one. There is no one like you. You are holy, holy. There is no one like you. You are holy, holy. You are holy, my God, my God, my God. Lord God Almighty, Jesus. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Bless your wonderful name, Jesus. Okay, let's go ahead and get this word. Yes, God. Okay. Last week, we bore witness to an awesome preview word of what God plans for us in 2022. And apparently, this week, we have already begun to experience it. He let us know it would be the year of the encounter. In the course of the message, God instructed us to put and keep ourselves in an atmosphere of worship. An atmosphere that would be conducive for an encounter. And so this week, as I was inquiring of God for the word to be delivered to his people, I began to scroll Facebook. And I came upon a post by my good friend, Elder Donald Hutchinson. He is the pastor of Tyrus Christian Fellowship Church out in Cincinnati, Ohio. Good friend of mine, covenant brother. If you were in the Cincinnati area and need a church home, please look him up. But as I read his post, immediately I knew what it was that God would have me to say. And his post was short, but it was concerning God's call. I said, okay, God, I hear you. He began to just flood me with information of what to say and how this was going to work. And I'm like, okay, I got you, God, I got you. This morning, as I was in the midst of writing out the message for today, for y'all who know how my process works, I'm studying all throughout the week. I put my notes together Thursday evening, Friday, and I go over the notes and I write them in a very concise format so that it's understandable when I present it. I do that Saturday morning. I like to do that because it keeps it fresh for me. And I actually preach the word to myself out loud as I'm writing, so I can see that what I'm writing down makes sense verbally. Because sometimes I'm writing, makes sense to me until I say it out loud. What the heck was I trying to say there? And so this was supposed to be a 3-part series that we're going to walk into. But it's now a 4-part series. God added a whole other extra into the series. And how he did it was there was a portion of what was going to be next week's message that I was just going to hit as a point. And then God said, stop right there. This is what I need them to hear today. I said, wow, okay, God. And then he began to expand it. And now, after this atmosphere that we just had, he has encountered us. And I pray you heard him speak to you. It makes sense why he did what he did. So we're getting ready to walk into a 4-part series, which this is part 1. Now, you probably wonder what the post said, so let me tell you what the post said. The post simply said this: God calls us 3 times. He calls us out, he calls us over, and he calls us in. And I was like, wow, okay, God. I see what you want me to do. I see what you want me to say. And I love how this is going along with the encounter, because you cannot have an encounter and not hear his call. But today, to start us in this series, we're going to deal with the danger of not answering the call. So before we get into the call and him calling us out, over, and in, let's understand this right up front, that there is a danger in not answering the call. As wonderful as this atmosphere was, as wonderful as God has been in this atmosphere, and how much we have felt his presence and heard him speak, and we began to bask on him and we began to worship him, as much as that is a great thing and a benefit of the call and a benefit of the encounter, there's a danger in not hearing it. So first, let's do what I like to do. Let's define the word call. Let's define the word call. There's two definitions that jumped out at me as I was looking through the dictionary to deal with this. The first one says that a call is to command or request to come or to go, usually to an office or a duty. To command or request to come or to go, usually to an office or a duty. I pause right there for a second because it's interesting that when we hear God's call, most Christians, and I won't say y'all because I believe y'all been taught better than that. Even before y'all got here, I believe y'all have been taught better than that. But most Christians happen to feel like when God calls them, the call goes no further than come on out of sin, come into salvation. And now that I'm saved, I get to sit on the pew and just listen every Sunday or every Saturday. I get to just hear the word. That's all I need to do. Just come, be a part of service, pray sometimes, worship. I'm good. But the reality is that when God calls you, he calls you to a duty. He calls you to do something. He calls you for a purpose. He calls you for a reason. And what God began to show me is the reason that we have messed this thing up with his call is because of modern day. I blame telephones. I'll tell you why I blame telephones. If someone was to ring your phone, we say that they are calling us, right? So when somebody calls you, especially nowadays, more times than not, they ain't really about nothing. They really aren't calling us for any real purpose. They're calling us to gossip. They're calling us to tell them about their day. Maybe they're calling to check on us, but usually it's not a whole lot that they are calling us for. They're not calling us to assign us to a task or to tell us something impertinent. It's usually just to talk. And so what we have done is we have translated what we do when we call someone to that being what God does when he calls us. I'm just calling to talk to you, dog. Hey, Kyle, this is God. And I just want to check on you and say, hey, how you doing? Girl, do you know? And you got a neighbor that got their nails and they look ugly. Oh, my God. Ooh, ooh. Did you know the dude down the hall, he don't wash? I was over in Israel trying to heal some folk, and this dude tripped and fell. It was so funny. I really believe this is how we believe sometimes that God talks, the reason he's trying to call us. And so what we do with God is the same thing we often do with people. We go ahead and send a voicemail. Because I don't really feel like dealing with them right now. Come on, let's be honest. There's some folk who call you. You send them the voicemail. There are some people who text you. You don't leave them on red. You want to act like you ain't seen the message until you have gotten up enough of yourself to be able to deal with whatever it is that they have said. So that message just sits there unread. And this is what we've done to God. Because we believe that that's what he's called us about. Second definition says this. It says that a call is to designate as something special. A call designates as something special. So when God calls you, he's going to tell you who you are. He's going to tell you what Christians don't love to believe, how important you are to him. He's going to let you know how important you are to the work he has to do. He's going to allow you to feel like you are so important that if you don't do this, the work may not get done. He allows you to feel special when he calls you. So watch this. Let's go to 1 Peter, the 2nd chapter, and the 9th verse. I'm going to try not to be long. Thankfully, I only have one other page. The second Peter, the second chapter. First Peter, second chapter, 9th verse. And I call this the identity verse. Anybody who's ever heard me use this verse and deal with this verse, I call this the identity verse. The Bible proclaims, but you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people. But I like how the King James says it. It says his own peculiar people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Now, encapsulated in this verse is both definitions. It starts off by him telling you how important you are. He says, you're my chosen generation. And everybody, I wanted you. Lots of generations I could have gone before you, and a ton of them I could have grabbed after you. But this generation, y'all the one I want. You my chosen ones. Not only are you chosen, but you know what? You are a royal priesthood, kings. You're a holy nation, even if you don't feel like you're holy. Even when sometimes you do some unholy stuff. I know ain't nobody ever done nothing unholy since they've been saved. I got you. It's all right. I know I have too. Thank you for being honest. I know. Listen, I'm the pastor. Jesus is still working on me. Steve Harvey said this, but don't trip. He's still working on me. He's still working on me. Lord Jesus. But he said, even in the midst of, you're still my holy nation. My own special, peculiar people. And here comes the assignment. Here comes the duty. Here comes the call to duty. That you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. When I called you so that everything that you do lets the world know how great I am. Every song you sing, every word you speak, every book you write, everything you bake, everything should give me glory. And show the world how great I am when I called you out. It wasn't until me studying this that I began to really understand why the series itself was needed at this time. And now today I understand why he added the extra message. He let me know the reason for the encounter that will be happening all of 2022. The reason for the encounter is because he said, I'm going to once again call my people, and I need them to be ready to answer the call. We, as the body of Christ, missed a previous call of God. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. I promise you I am. We missed one though. High Praise Ministries. We missed one. And it was reminded to me how we missed one a few months ago when Evangelist Janelle and I had a conversation. I'll let you know about that in a second. But we missed one. We really missed a call. And God said, so I want my people to be ready this time for the call that's going to help them deal with the encounter that's coming. So he told me this time around, before we deal with that, however, we need to address the danger of missing the call. Because some of us are underneath the effects right now of the danger of missing the previous call. And we don't even realize it. So, let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 24 through 33. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 24 through 33. It's going to be that one. We're going to chill here for a little bit. The Bible proclaims this. Because I have called you, and you refused, I stretched out my hand, and no one regarded. Because you disdained all my counsel, and would have none of my rebuke, I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your terror comes. When your terror comes like a storm and your destruction comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me. Because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, they would have none of my counsel and despise my every rebuke. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their own way and be filled to the full with their own fancies. For the turning away of the simple will slay them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. But whoever listens to me will dwell safely and will be secure without fear of evil. You did not hear when I called, and so now you're in danger. God said, keep sending me a voicemail if you want to. Keep leaving me on red if you want to. Keep ignoring my reach out if you want to. Because when you try to get a hold of me after it finally comes upon you, all the stuff I was trying to warn you about when I called you, when it finally comes, you try to call me back. Now I'm sending you the voicemail. But not only am I going to send you the voicemail and leave you unread, here's what I'm really going to do. And this is the mess that really just, it blew my mind because I got a really active imagination and God allows me to hear and see things in just a very clear way. He said, I'm going to laugh at your calamity. And I audibly, as I read it, heard God laughing. But here what I want to do. I want us to really understand this. Somebody do me a favor. Go to dictionary.com real quick. Somebody real quick. Go to dictionary.com. And I want somebody else to do this because I really want to emphasize how important this is. I want somebody else's voice to read it. So that way, when you hear it, you don't tune it out, because I've learned that sometimes my voice can get tuned out because you're used to hearing it. Okay. Look up the word calamity. Calamity.
Okay. Who's reading it? A great misfortune.
Read with some power and authority. And don't rush.
A great misfortune or disaster as a flood or serious injury.
Now do me a favor. Go down, scroll down. There's the British dictionary within dictionary.com and read that first definition. If you want to scroll on down, it's right there.
Oh, it's here. A disaster or misfortune. ESP, one causing extreme chaos, havoc, distress, or misery.
So the reason I want you to understand and hear the definition of calamity, because I think oftentimes we hear the word calamity and we think that's just some stuff that happens, some bad stuff that happens. You know, I get a little cold, or maybe I lose my job, or maybe I stub my toe when it hurts, or maybe my boyfriend or girlfriend leave me, something like that. Oh, that's a calamity. No. A calamity is a great misfortune. So let me bring this into perspective for you. Hurricane Katrina was a calamity. And God said, COVID-19 was a calamity.
He laughed?
Everybody was coming to church and that.
Oh, it was a great calamity, because look at the disaster that hit. The whole world shut down.
Why is God laughing?
Because we wouldn't listen to his call. So watch this. Evangelist Janelle reminded me the power of God that works within me that sometimes I forget. Seriously. She told me but this was maybe a few months ago, back in July, I believe it was. She told me I called out COVID.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't know it. Hadn't realized it. 2016 or 17, I believe it was. And Evangelist Janelle, if you could do me a favor in the comments, just put the title of the message. You ain't got to put the link. Just put the title of the message. I'll take care of everything else.
Did you call it like 20? Is that 2019 or 2020?
No, 2020, I called in January.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the podcast.
Yeah.
That one I knew. But that was a month before it happened, before all the dangerous stuff began to happen.
Right.
In I think it was either 2016, 2017, 2018, 1 of 3. I called it out almost by name. I didn't use the word COVID, but I talked about a disease that was going to shut the world down.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I wasn't being metaphorical. And God told me to tell the people, prepare. And so now, because we didn't hear and did not prepare, we got shortages and now we messed up.
Now it's forcing people to get vaccines.
Thank you, Evangelist Janelle. The title of the message is Suddenly. And if you're watching this on YouTube, when I post the YouTube message, I promise you, if I remember, I will put the link in the description so you can go to it if you want to. It's near the end of the message. Hear the whole message, but near the end of the message where I began to call out this mess that we're in right now. And I talked about how it was going to shut the world down. It wasn't just going to affect Columbus, Ohio. It wasn't just going to affect the nation. It was going to affect the world. And I talked about how we need to be ready and that we need to begin to do some things to put ourselves in position so that when it hits, it don't affect us. And I wasn't talking about building our immune system up. I was talking naturally and practically like building your finances up. Because between 2016 and 2020, some of you had some increases that you just whittled away. Check got bigger, so you spent more. Unexpected money came in, you put that to something else. Opportunities happen, I'll do that another time. Not knowing that these were the things that were set up to help you here. What I'm reminded of is I'm reminded of Joseph. So, with Joseph, the king had a dream. He was tormented by his dream, and no one could interpret the dream until Joseph was called up. He told Joseph the dream, and Joseph said that the dream is saying, God showed him that the dream says, you're going to have 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. And I'm going to send the 7 years of plenty first. But when the 7 years of plenty happen, don't waste everything. Put this amount up every week and store it and don't touch it. So that when the 7 years of famine come, you can live in the famine like you would be living in the abundance. But we never heard it. I watched some people that I know closely, and they began to say, it's interesting how we have all of these Facebook prophets and all these preachers and teachers all over the place, and nobody said nothing about COVID. Nobody saw this coming. And once Janelle reminded me of it, I began to say to myself, maybe they did, and we were just too stubborn to hear it. And so now we're in a place where all of this calamity is happening. God help me! They want my help. And what I like about this verse, what really messed me up, was not only the Bible said that God's going to laugh at your calamity. He said, I'm going to mock your terror. So not only am I going to laugh in your face, I'm also going to mock you. Oh, look at the poor baby now. Hey, Jesus, you hear this? Oh, God, help me. God, help me. All because we didn't answer his call. all because we refused to hear his call. When terror comes like a storm and whirlwind of destruction hits your life, you're going to say my name, and I'm going to act like I don't know you. Because when I wanted to make time for you, when I wanted to talk to you, you had no time for me. What I find interesting is we don't want to be treated that way. And we won't really treat our significant others that way. Yet we will deal with God that way. If you're going out with somebody, let's say y'all been dating about 3-4 months, and they have no time for you. Like, every time y'all go somewhere or do something, it must be on their time, not your time. And they only go to the stuff that they like and will never do anything you like. And they expect you to be on the ready when they're ready. But every time you say, hey, babe, let's go do this, no, I don't feel like it.
Wow.
Hey, I think I hit it. I'm sorry. I hit a nerve. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong person. I'm sorry. I figured that was going to hit a nerve. I think it was going to hit that kind of nerve if I look this way, not that way. But it still holds. When that happens, what you gonna do with this dude you dating?
Dump the person. Let them go. Break up.
We not dating. Better find another female. I don't know. God.
So why is it that you expect God to stay and you do the exact same thing to him? God calls you, and I'll answer later. God calls you, and I don't feel like it because it ain't comfortable. God asks you to do, but I'm not sure I want to do that. Because when you say I'm not ready, when you say I don't feel like it's my call, when you say I don't feel like this is in me, what you're really saying to God, I don't want to do it. I'm finding every excuse not to. I'm going to try and hit one that allows you to leave me alone with this. And then we call God because now we need him and we expect God to hop to right for us. God, I need to pay my rent. Oh, here's your money. Here you go. Invest with some rent money. God, my heart is broken. Let me fix the pieces of your broken heart. God, I got to preach a word. Here, let me give you the word to speak. That ain't how this works. You don't spend no time with him. He's just going to laugh at you when you need me. I know y'all got somebody like that who, because of their past character, when they call upon you and now they need you, internally you laugh. You may not do it to their face. Petty. And I love it because so do I. Quick side note, story parallels. One of my favorite songs by Boyz II Men is a song called Doing Just Fine. If you don't know the words of the song, I'm going to hit you to it just a second. And one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite songs because when I first heard it, it just resonated with me because I was okay. And I had been dating this girl for a little while. We broke up. She messed up. And I had just finished listening to the song like the 30th time. I promise I really love this doggone song. And she called me and was like, hey, Jesse, I realized how good of a guy you are. And I want to give us a second chance. I am so sorry. I promise I'll be better. That's, oh, baby, you know what? I was just thinking about you. This song came on and it just helped me think about you. Can I play the song for you? I'm even going to sing a little bit to you because I just want you to feel how I feel with this song. And I put the phone up to the CD player and the song says, yeah, that's how long ago it was. The song says, I'm doing just fine. Getting along very well without you in my life. I don't need you in my life.
Yeah, getting along very well.
I don't know how long she stayed on the phone. I just know that by the time the song ended, I said hello, all I heard was Dalton. But But this is the same way God feels about us when we don't answer his call. You messed up, now you want me to fix it. You wouldn't hear me, now you want me to do for you. When I called you, you had no time for me. Now you get all the time in the world when you could have stored up some stuff. If you just would have taken your behind out of bed and prayed when I asked you to pray. If you just would have canceled that stupid thing that you didn't even like and read in my word just a little bit more. If you would have just let God to that event that had nothing to do with your purpose and spent some time with me, I could have directed you to something even better. But no. Everything else is more important.
Wow, that's deep. Whoa.
And so now, you want me when I don't need you. Not only do I not need you, this is the part that's going to hurt some Christians. I don't want you. Couldn't get along just fine without you in my life. So God said, this is the danger of not answering his call. Especially now in this season. As we're coming upon the encounter. The year of the encounter, God said, I'm going to be doing a whole lot of calling. And I need a whole bunch of answers. Otherwise, a whole bunch of calamity is going to come and I'm going to laugh even more. The call that we missed was the call to COVID. Missed it. Body of Christ, missed it. I challenge you, no matter what church you are in, go back to some messages from 2016, 17, 18, and even 2019. And I promise you, if your pastor be a man or woman of God for real, they gave you some instruction that even they may not have realized was for that purpose, but was absolutely for that purpose. Had you listened then, you wouldn't be where you're at now. I'll tell you how deep this goes. Hearing God's call saved my life from COVID. My wife and I were in Columbus, Ohio, right before COVID hit. God told me, come to Georgia. I promise you, had I not listened when I listened and got here and got my wife here just before it hit, because I got here first. A whole year before I could get her here. Just before COVID hit, she gets here. Had we not been here, we would not have made it. And I don't mean as a couple. I mean as our lives. Wow. The way that COVID is hit up in Columbus, Ohio is ridiculous. And in the building that we were at, where we were holding service, see here, COVID's only hit here twice. A lot of us had it the first time. And then my wife had it the second time by herself. None of us had it. She had it by herself. She's just an overachiever. Bless her heart. In the building we were at, most of the congregation had a severe bout of COVID. Nobody here that I know of that had COVID had real severe symptoms. We had some bad coughs. We had some chest pain. We had some shortness of breath. Nobody was on respirators. Nobody was in and out of the hospital. We just had to take the little medicine they gave us, go on home 14 days later. Woo, we good. Up there, though, some folks have been hospitalized, dead, in the building. I'm not talking about Columbus, Ohio as a whole. I'm talking about the building. How are we going to survive that? See, the way we got COVID here was by accident. Well, let me phrase that because I don't think anybody gets COVID on purpose.
Basically.
But it was unintentional because the person who originally had it didn't know they had it because their ignorant job didn't know that somebody that they were dealing with was coming in with it. But they caught it early enough, which allowed us to catch it early enough, which allowed us to go do what we need to do to get better. And everybody here is good. Only reason Falana ain't here right now is because she's super tired. She didn't get no real sleep. I told her to stay here behind home. How you doing?
Like, yeah, stay home. Like I said.
Oh, she was going to try and come.
I know.
She was laying down like, no, I got business to discuss and you got to press my way out. I said, all right, if you feel like coming, go ahead. I turned around. I had looked at my phone to put some more stuff on my phone. I said, she was out. I mean, like that. I waited a little bit so I could see if me kind of moving around wakes her up a little bit and see what happens. Didn't move. It's almost 11 before she said, thank you very good by yourself. I'm going to stay home. I said, oh, I already knew that. I heard the sound of sleep overtake you. There was no coming. So she ain't home because she's sick. She home because she's tired. Why not? I'm telling the truth. You get over it, I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, I think
So, the only reason she ain't here is because of that, but we're good. There? No. So I highly doubt that we stayed and I heard the call of God that we would have survived too. You don't know what you are avoiding or preparing yourself for when you hear and answer the call of God. And the key is not just to hear it, but to answer it. Because a lot of us hear it. We just don't answer it because we talk ourselves out of it being God. We do a whole lot of, I don't know if God's going to tell me that. Is that really God? Let me go back and pray again and see if I can get a different answer. Say again?
God don't want me to quit my job. He don't want me to be broke.
Listen.
You want me to do it.
Listen.
Broke or not.
Well, you can say I'm like the rest of us.
Girl, I don't even know what that means, but sure.
There's somebody here, I'm not saying no names, who had to deal with that right there. I'm just saying. I'm sorry, I just had to stretch. I just had to need to stretch just a little bit.
What's your job? I'm here.
No, not the only one. Look 2 rows back over your left hand shoulder. Mm-hmm. Quit your job in the middle of a panorama.
Yes.
Exactly. In the middle of COVID.
And start a business.
What?
But I don't want to do it, God. I'm going to be broke.
Is you broke?
So what? No. Even if you is, watch this. So what? God said, I am your provider.
That's what I mean. You're not broke. God got you.
So whether or not you got finances or not, I will still provide for you. Because you heard me and took a step out to do what I called you to do. So now rent's due. All of a sudden here comes somebody or something or some opportunity that's just enough to pay your tithe and your rent. But that happens when you hear him. I know some folk, I ain't gonna call no names, who would not hear that voice from God when he said quit their job. They still on the job, but the money ain't enough. And in their mind, they're saying, now how bad off would I be if I had quit my job? And I'm thinking to myself, how much greater of a position would you have been in if you had quit your job? You can't pour into something that's already full. If your hand is closed, I can't put anything else in it. So you holding on to this job, I can't give you nothing better because you holding on to this. Because here's the reality of it. Most of us won't even search for a job until we ain't got one. Oh, I know we do a whole lot of looking online while we at work. But ain't nobody really taking no interview time to get off their own job and say, you know what, I need a day off and go do another interview for a new job while they got a job. Because they start doing a mental equation in their own head. Well, I'm going to have to be without insurance for about 30 days, 90 days, depending on how long the insurance kick in. I'm gonna have to be without a paycheck for a month because it's gonna take them at least 2 to 3 weeks to actually give me my first paycheck over there. And then I'm backed up in bills, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do that. Is it worth it? And then I lose all my seniority. Is this worth it? I think I'm just gonna stay where I'm at. God said, you didn't hear me tell you to quit your job? I love telling the story, especially when my wife ain't here, because I can tell put some stank on it. But it's her story, it's her testimony. Y'all see the movie Friday? My wife is Ice Cube's character. She got fired on her day off. God told her for months, quit her job. But the job was convenient. It was really, literally, right next door to her house. So all she had to do was walk through the little gate, she home. Walk through the gate, she at work. Quit your job. But the money is good. Quit your job. I'm trying to set me and my daughter up to be financially prosperous. Quit your job. But I like it. Quit your job. So here what happened. She was working in the banking industry, and at the bank that she was working at, they have it mandated that you have to take at least a week's vacation once a year. I think it's a week, maybe 3 weeks, but I know it was at least a week once a year. And the reason they do this is so they can look at your till and they can count it. Because as long as you manage your till, you can keep stealing from it and putting it, making the numbers work out, because you know what's missing, because you know what you stole. So their way to counteract that, you take off for a week, we gonna look at your drawer and make sure the money is the way it's supposed to be. So she's taking her mandated week's vacation. 3 days, whatever. Week, 3 days, doesn't matter, you still got fired. It was a mandated vacation, had to take it. Now in the midst of this, there was a meeting that was a mandatory meeting that she had to be at. How do you make me come to a meeting when you told me I'm not allowed to come into the bank? So she goes in just for the meeting, leaves the meeting, goes home. Later on gets a call and she's told, you're fired. Mom, what happened? Her drawer wasn't short. It was because she went to the meeting she was mandated to go to on her mandated day off. Wait a second, you told me I had to come or I'd get fired. So I came and I got fired? I tried to tell you to quit your job.
That's all God right there. Ain't no way around that one.
So because she didn't hear months ago, she got fired months later. Here's the thing. Here's what I like about this. Because I'm on my way in the picture in the midst of this. God always, I shouldn't say always, but most of the time he'll send you some help. Hallelujah, thank God for me. So she got fired, and now she ain't got no job. Now she's also sick. And I mean, deathly sick and don't know it. We started dating around this time. And she's going back and forth to the hospital over and over and over and over. And you know how that feels, over. And they can't find nothing, just over and over. I promise you, our first 20 dates ended up in the ER. To the point where they asked that question, do you feel safe at home? They started asking that question like, do you need him to step out? Because we went to the same hospital. We loved the hospital. We liked the people. They were quick. They did their job. They were thorough-ish. Better than the other hospital in Columbus. So plus it was close. So let's go right here. They started to say, hey, Jesse, will you step out of the room so we can have a conversation with her? And she had to be like, he don't have to go nowhere. It's fine. But no, we just need him to step out for a second. It's fine. Okay. Do you feel safe at home? Because they thought I was doing something because she keep coming back with pain. And can't nobody find anything internally. And because we were out on dates, we were dressed, so it kind of looked like I was her pimp. So all of this happened, and could not be resolved until God sent someone after we prayed to look at her the right way and do an ultrasound. They found what they needed to find. No. Although, but I heard ultrasound too. I was like, hold on, wait a second. Hold on, wait. Ultrasound, what? You gonna do it for what? There's not a baby in there.
Wait, what type of ultrasound was it in vaginal?
They rub a little gel on,
On the top?
and that's what they do to detect babies. What's going on? But through that, they found that she has some things going on in her intestines and on her ovaries, and it was big enough and had tied itself enough that when they saw it finally, they were like, "We are scheduling surgery this week." She was like, "Hold on, I got to go see my OBGYN." And she went to the OBGYN and said, "Yeah, no. We doing that in a couple of days, and I'm going to be the surgeon. So don't worry about it, but we got to do this now." And the surgeon let me know, "We don't do this. She ain't going to make it.
Excuse what?
If we don't do this surgery, she ain't going to make it."
Why am I feeling like we're in that moment right now?
Because that's how you playing.
That already happened, so she's alive, she's fine.
Oh, she said it was internal. I thought they rubbed the stuff on your stomach, whatever. Listen, all I know is they found it. And when they found it, they were like, "Hey, this has to happen
See,
now."
it's internal. That has to be.
Listen, all I know is ultrasound, okay? Look, listen, I was barely in the room. They let me come because I was going to fight if they didn't. You dealing with somebody close to me, what you ain't going to do is be trying to find out stuff and I ain't going to be there. No, Jack. Oh, the nurses hated me during her recovery because I didn't leave.
Yeah, this is the type of man you want.
I told them, be careful what you ask for. I ain't all cracked up to me.
Wait.
I promise you that. But all of this happened, and the way it went down happened in succession, all because she did not hear the call. I firmly believe that had she heard it when God said to do it, the issues wouldn't have been as severe. Some of the same things, so you know, some of the same things would probably have had to happen, but the way it happened would not have been as severe. And I know you know what I'm talking about. I'm just not trying to divulge all your business. But had you heard it then, the calamity would not have come. The terror would not have come. Because for months, she was in pain. I mean, doubled over, couldn't get out of bed kind of pain. I was on my way to church one Sunday. Come on, we're going to go to church. Okay. Oh, we going to the hospital. No, I'm sick of going to the hospital. Look, if I got to put you in the trunk of my car and take you, you going. You double over in pain in front of me and see what happened. It was painful and unnecessary because you didn't hear the call. Some of us are going through pain, sickness, disease, poverty, all kinds of stuff because we didn't hear the call the first time. So God says, now I'm coming back around again. All next year I'm going to be calling you and talking to you. Will you hear my call? So I said, okay, God, and I can't stop there, God. I can't stop there. I need to give him something now. Because I'm used to beating them. And I'm used to rebuking them. But this one's heavy enough. I need to give him a little bit of hope. So God said, here's what I'm going to give to you. Because I felt, y'all, I promise you, I felt the weight on y'all's shoulders as I was delivering this. And I said, okay, God, I need just, even just a little bit, give me a little bit of. See, the thing is, I know y'all's situations. I am intimately involved in most of y'all's lives. So I know some of the things that y'all are going through and dealing with. And some of the things you're going through and dealing with are because you missed the call. And you're starting to realize that some of this is because I missed the call. And so that kind of way to know makes things a little heavy. So I said, okay, God, give just a little something, and just a little something, help me, help them. And so I said, okay, God, let's do it this way. How can I help them ensure that this time they answer the call? God said, let's first do this. First, help them to understand that in order to answer the call, you need to know my voice. Go to John chapter 10, verse 27 and 28. John chapter 10. Apparently I didn't highlight that one. St. John chapter 10, verse 27 and 28. The Bible declares this: my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give them an eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall anyone snatch them out of my hand. They know my voice. You'll answer the call when you recognize my voice. Our issue is, and still is, that we don't know the voice of God. And what we wind up doing is we surround ourselves with a bunch of other voices in the belief that maybe this is the voice of God. So now we get all these voices in our head. Randy Orton, I hear voices in my head for y'all wrestling fans. And now you get all these voices in your head talking to you. Most of them saying different stuff. How do I know which one of these is God? I can't answer one if I don't know it's God. Because Pastor, you told me I really shouldn't be talking to the devil right now, so I can't answer any of these because I'm not sure if they're God. And sometimes I feel like if I take the step and I'm wrong, because I didn't hear God's voice, it's going to mess up my whole life. So I'm trying to hear God's voice clearly. Here's how you hear the voice of God. In this season, yeah, you can absolutely go re-listen to and study the series that I taught on how to hear from God. But in this season, here's how you hear his voice clearly. One of the main ways you're going to hear his voice clearly, you must spend time with him and make him a priority. You'll never get his voice if you don't spend time with him. The only reason some of y'all trust me is because you spent some time with me. The only reason you know my voice now is because now you spent some time with me. But watch this. Some of you still struggle hearing the voice of God through me because you've never paid attention to the switch. Some of y'all don't know, what do you mean by the switch? My wife calls it a switch. So what she says is she knows when I switched, when I shifted, meaning I moved from being just Jesse into being either pastor or prophet. And so she moves accordingly based off of how she sees me in the spirit. Some people, I ain't calling on that. I'm looking at the ceiling. So nobody in here or via online thinks I'm talking about them. I'm looking right up at the ceiling. Hello, ceiling. Some people.
You don't want these issues.
See, I hit dog will holler. I didn't say no names. I said look at the ceiling. But you ain't the only one. Some people wind up hearing my voice and can never distinguish between when I am being just Jesse, who's playful and sometimes fun, sarcastic and petty, and when I switch gears, now I'm pastor and when I'm prophet. And so you argue with the rebuke because you think you're arguing with Jesse when you're arguing with the man of God. Which then causes even more rebuke to rise up out of me, then you get offended and upset. And here's the rub. Because you ain't had experiences, so I can look at you. You're the only one in here I can look at. I ain't had this experience with you. Here's the rub. Ultimately, they find out I was right because I wasn't talking.
I find out he's right.
You ain't the only one. I appreciate you being honest and going ahead and letting the folks know it was you, but you ain't the only one.
Oh, I know.
You can look around this room. I promise you, you'll find at least 4 more. I just want to ask him next what?
You said it's 4 more. I'm like, hold on, wait. I got this example, but I know my answer.
And then right now I got 5. If you went online, you probably can look online and probably find 5 more. They want to find it. I didn't say no names. Look, hey, if you feel like that's you, then hey. But they find out I'm right because I switch gears. And so now I become pastor or prophet. I'm rebuking or I'm correcting you because it's needed. And because I am never arrogant enough to be like, look, this is your pastor speaking. You need to hear them. I don't do that mess. I will say this. You'll find out I'm right. I know what I hear. I know what I see. You'll find out I'm right. Oh, I don't believe you. It's okay. I mean, I love you. I trust you, but I don't believe you. Okay. I can argue with you. Sometimes you smack your head up against the wall. Let it get all bloody, but you're going to clean up the blood off that wall. I promise you that. But once you spend enough time, you catch the shift. When I stand here, they all recognize this pastor and prophet. So if I rebuke from here, instantly, straighten up. Let's do what the man of God said to do. Outside of here, we got some issues. They haven't spent enough time with me in the spirit. Haven't studied me enough in the spirit. And that's the problem as it relates to God. We haven't spent enough time with him. And so we don't know his voice because we never made him a priority. I already talked about how we deal with our spouses or our boyfriends or our girlfriends or our loved ones and don't spend time with them. But let's just dig a little bit deeper. Before I go to scripture I want to go to, let's just dig just a little bit deeper. Watch this. I'm going to ask a question. I want you to think about somebody you were in love with. I mean, really deeply in love. Or a family member that you really love. Give you a couple seconds. Think about it. Got them in your mind? Yeah. Great. When you're dealing with them, or when they were around, right? Or when you were in love with them, right? When this situation was the case, you thought about them roughly all the time. Right or wrong? The person you was in love with, especially if it's somebody you was in love with, when you were in love with them, you thought about them roughly all the time. When you was in love with them and dealing with them, your mind was constantly thinking about, what can I do to make them happy? Right or wrong? When you was in love with them, oftentimes when you would have conversations with them, either face to face or all over the phone, their words just did something to you. Either they made your heart flutter or something throb or whatever, but they did something. You had a reaction to their words. Right or wrong? When's the last time God did that to you? I mean earnestly, where his words have fully moved you, or you think about him all the time, or your number one thought before you think about anything else is, how can I make him happy?
This week.
Okay, so this week. What about last week?
No.
What about the week before?
I mean, I won't say no, not the week before, but like there were a couple days the week before.
So not the full week.
Right. But it was like.
But when you was in love, though, the person you was in love with was a constant thought. And there's no shade on you because everybody fits under this umbrella.
I talk to God every day.
Mm-hmm. You talk.
I hear too.
That ain't what you said. You said, I talk to God all the time, every day.
Yes, and I hear.
But are you hearing and listening to God, and are his words moving? All the time. Is his presence causing you to just, how is God's presence? The atmosphere that we had earlier. that kind of presence that you begin to seek after and everything in you wants to be in that atmosphere. And sometimes you get mad when you get out that atmosphere. Let me tell you a conversation I was having with God while we was in the midst of this atmosphere. God was like, okay, stop now. Go ahead and go on with the message. They need to hear this. When you watch the tape back, you'll hear me on a few occasions say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I didn't move right away. Because I love that presence. I get angry when I have to leave that presence. I didn't want to teach this message. I didn't want to do nothing after that presence. I was going to let another song play. So y'all can go home, cut it off. We're going to bask. I'm going to lay right on here and just be here. Because I love the presence of God like that. And I don't ever want to leave his presence ever. Naturally, that's not possible. I got stuff to do. Eventually, my fat stomach gonna get hungry. Let me know I need to eat. Eventually, my bowels or my bladder gonna take over and say, hey, you need to go to the bathroom. So at some point, I have to leave the presence of God. But I hate having to do it. I hate having to leave my wife's presence, but not more than I hate having to leave the presence of God. When's the last time God was like that for you? When's the last time he was your number one priority? So in order to hear from him and know his voice, you must spend time with him and make him a priority. Matthew the 6th chapter, verse 31. It's one of the ones we know what we should know. It is said so often. Matthew chapter 6, verse 31 through 34. And the Bible declares, therefore do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For after all these things the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. When you make him your priority, he becomes the thing that you seek. I don't care if I have to give up eating God as long as I can get you. I was talking with two of our members about fasting. And I had to do some corrective talk in teaching about fasting, because we have a misconception as Christians about fasting. Don't worry, I promise you, I don't know when, but a lesson on fasting is coming. I'm just waiting on God to release me to do it. And just know when you hear me talk about it, one is coming. Not only the lesson, but an actual fast will be coming. It's the reason I haven't taught it. I'm waiting to teach on it for when God calls us to one, so that way we can put the action in practice. But the fast, as we think about it, we basically just think about a fast as, oh, I'm just going to give this thing up for God. And I'm going to use this fast to spend time with him and get closer to him and draw near to him and hear from him better. That's not the purpose of a fast. The purpose of a fast is sacrifice. You are willing to give up something that hurts you to God. When's the last time you made him your sacrifice? This is the last bit of money I got, but God, I'm going to give this one to you. I'm so tired, but I'm going to stay up and pray. I don't feel like taking another phone call, but I'm going to go ahead and call them because I know they need to hear a word from God, and he's going to speak it through me. When's the last time you sacrificed for him and made him first in your life? You can't hear from God clearly because he's not your number one priority. When I was a kid, not making my mother mad was a number one priority in my life. My dad didn't get mad often, so I didn't have to worry about him. Not making my mom mad, that was priority. So I'm down the street playing, and I hear, Jesse! I don't care what's going on. Her voice cut through all the crowd, cut through all the playing. We playing football, basketball, freeze tag, whatever. Her voice cut through all of that. I got to go, y'all. I heard my mom. Because I know if I make her call me more than once, and she don't start to hear a response, she don't get angry. And when I get to her, when she get angry, I got consequences to pay. So hearing her was a priority for me. To the point where when I was like 16 or 17, I had mom PTSD. What I mean by that is I found out how common my name really is. In my neighborhood wasn't a whole lot of Jesse. It was just me. When I got out, I started to find how common my name was. And so I would hear other parents call their Jesse. Where's my mom at? Hold on. What? Oh, that wasn't my mom's voice. Hold on. That was my mom. I'm good. Because pleasing her was a priority for me. So no matter where she was, if I heard her voice, I'd know it. If my mom was on the outside of that door having a conversation with somebody, now my mom was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I have no reason to expect her to be outside that door. If she's having a conversation outside that door right now, I promise you I would know that voice. Why is my mom here? What's my mom doing here? Because I know her voice. I spend time with her to know it. And she's my priority. In order to hear him, you got to spend time with him. But also make him a priority. God will not be your side chick. He will not be your sneaky link. He will not be the one that you come to only when you need a fix. He said, I need you to come to me and hear me when I make time for us. And I want you to make some time for us as well. Intentional time. So, I know, me too.
Oh.
It get like that after the presence of God. You're all right, I'll tell you guys too. So, I thank you, Holy Spirit, for having me look at my notes. Here's what my notes started liking to, and I almost went on. I was like, why am I not hearing my transition I normally make? Because I didn't hit the note that is specific for the transition. So here's what God began to show me. He said he wants you to treat him like you do your keys or your wallet. Let me make that make sense for those who didn't make sense to. Treat him like your keys or your wallet, because when you lose your wallet or your keys, you tear the whole house up looking for it. But when you find it, you don't leave it where you found it. You take it with you everywhere you go. And once you have lost your keys or your wallet, one of the first things you'll do for a while is you make sure, hold on, let me double check, make sure I got my keys with me, because I ain't trying to lose them no more. And most people, if they lose them enough, they begin to put a specific place where their keys go so they know that they're there all the time. Because I recognize I can't go nowhere without my keys or my wallet. I can't do nothing without my keys or my wallet. I can walk out there right now, but I can't leave because my car is right there, but I can't start the car without the key. I've seen people, for their phone, I've seen them turn around, go 30 minutes back home to pick up their phone because they forgot their phone. But won't ask themselves, did I spend time with God today? Let me make sure I spend some time with God today. So he must be your priority. He must be the one that you seek after. So the question should then be, well, wait a second, Pastor, how do I seek him? What do I need to do to seek him? Go to Jeremiah, the 29th chapter. You got this and one last, and then I'm done. Jeremiah 29, verse 12 to 13. The Bible declares this. Then you will call upon me and go and pray to me, and I will listen to you. And you will seek me and find me when you search for me with your whole heart. Our issue is we're not seeking God with our whole heart. We seek Him with a part of it or half of it, piece of it, because He's not our priority. When He's your priority, your whole heart is in the midst of it. I was having a conversation with another member this week, actually a couple of days ago. We were talking about worship. And she was asking me, how do I really get into worship? I said, here's your problem. You're not getting into worship because you're not really spending time with God. And I began to get really passionate talking about worship. You've had these conversations with me, so you know what I mean. When I start to get passionate, my whole voice begins to change and everything. It sounds almost like I'm preaching to you, but it's not even me trying to preach. It's just the passion in me rising up. I said, you hear how my voice has changed? And they were like, yeah, I hear. I said, that's because I can't help it. It's in me. There's something about when I start talking about God. There's something about when I start talking about worship. There's something about when I start talking about how great He is and how much I love and appreciate Him. There's something about it that does something to me, that causes a change, and I can't talk about Him regular. Because my whole heart loves Him. We say we love God. Excuse me. Sorry. So glad you weren't in that row because you got hit. We say we love God, but the reality is we don't. We say we worship Him, but the reality is we don't. Not really. We love Him-ish. We love Him-ish because when we talk about Him, there's no passion behind our voice. When we seek Him half-heartedly, and only as long as He'll listen to us. We'll ask God to listen to us talk for 45 minutes, but we can't stand there and listen and wait for 5. When we sing about Him, there's no joy there because we have no heart experience with Him. We don't really love Him. So God said, you'll find me only when you give me your whole heart. You can only give me your whole heart when I'm your number one. I'll never be number 2. Because when you're number 2, someone else has more than you. So I always hated that cliche that love is a 50-50 street. I've always asked this question. If love is a 50-50 street, where's the other 50 going? I got a full 100. And I'm supposed to give 50. That means I got 50 left. Where's that going? Love ain't a 50-50 street. That's all it is. And watch this. I've also hated the cliche that love is a 2-way street. No, it's not. You know what a 2-way street is? One car's going this way, the other car's going that way. If it's a 2-way street, we go in opposite directions. Love got to be a 1-way street. All my eggs in this one basket going in the same direction. And God said, that's how I need you to seek me. Put all your eggs into me. We're going to go the same direction. So that means when I shift, you shift with me. When I say we're going this direction, you just go. As a driver, I detest backseat drivers. I put them out of my car quickly. I got the wheel. I really don't care where you want to go. I got the wheel. So if I say we ain't going, we ain't going. You driving too fast. Tough. I'm driving. You should get over that lane when I'm ready. I'm driving. You got no choice but to come along for the ride or jump out the car. God said that's how it needs to be with me. Come along for the ride or jump out the car. Or if you think you can take it, wait till we get to a rest stop and just get out and never get back in. I heard your comment. I got you. I'm leaving you. I know, but you was talking louder than I heard you.
Put me in the middle of none of this. I'm just here.
God said, you got to do me like that. You got to be all in or not at all. I can't do half-stepping. And when we come into 2022, God said, I won't take half-stepping. I'll remove my presence from you quicker than you can blink. And this time when I remove my presence from you, I promise you I'm coming back around again. God said, seek me with your whole heart. Come after me with everything you've got. And once you've done that, here's what God said I need for you to do. I simply need for you to give me your yes. Your complete yes. He just give me everything you got. He's just giving me all of your yes. So old song that I used to love. It's a wonderful congregation. I love it. It says this. It says, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. From the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul. Yes, Lord. Completely yes. My soul says yes. That's what God said I want from you. I don't want your yes with reservations. I don't want your yes with hindrances. I don't want your yes with a plan B. When I impregnate you, I don't want you getting to plan B. I want you to bring to term the thing that I have invested and placed in you. You gave me your consent to put it there. Now go ahead and push it out. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be uncomfortable. When I grow you, God, I hear you saying in my nose. I can just close this. I'm gonna do now. When I grow you, after I've invested in you, watch this. Y'all understand when you get pregnant, your body goes through changes. Not only does your stomach get bigger and the outside begin to change, but internally you begin to change. Your drive changes, your motivation changes, your hormones change, your cravings change. God said it's going to be just like that when you allow me to impart it to you. When you gave me your yes and said, yes, God, I want to be in your presence, impart it to me. Now you've given me your consent for that. Give me your consent so that you can push it out. It's going to hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to tear some stuff. I'm going to remove some stuff. It's going to be ugly. But when I get through with you, when I finish making you new, when I finish doing with you what I'm doing with you, when I finish bringing forth the fruit that's on the inside of you, it's going to change your life and change the lives of all those around you. So God said, it was Isaiah. Go to Isaiah. Not Isaiah. Go to Joshua. No, I'm sorry. I was right the first time. Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. Hey, I told you I'm off my notes now. I need to make sure I put that scripture in and I'm done. He said, this is how I want you to answer me. And Isaiah in the 6th chapter 8th verse, the Bible says, also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and who will go for us? Then I said, here I am, send me. God said in this encounter I bring to you, when I speak to you, when I call you, I need to say, here I am. Send me. I need to say, yes, Lord. I wouldn't dare answer my mom with huh. I wouldn't dare not answer my mom at all when she called me. I wouldn't dare tell her I ain't got no time for her. I'm 40 years old. I still wouldn't dare do it. My mom's a lot older now. She also has been dealing with multiple myeloma in her leg. She's had chemo and everything. Lots more thin than what she was when I was a kid. She got a cane that she walks with. She needs help sometimes getting up and getting around sometimes. And I still wouldn't dare not answer my mom when she called me. Because something will hit that woman. And she will be rejuvenated back to the days of her youth. And the consequences at 40 will be just as severe as if that was 14. How dare I give my mama more respect and honor than I give God? He said, when I call you, give me your yes. Because if you don't, I'm going to laugh at you. I'm going to laugh hard at you. I'm going to mock you. And your life will never be the same. Because I'll let you miss everything I have for you. We're dealing in this series of the call. And as we deal in this series, I want you to hear God and hear him clearly throughout the course of this series. Because I promise you, when this encounter comes, he's going to call for us. And as he calls for us, we need to answer him. And answer him with a yes. I played this song to close because I wanted to sit in your spirit. It's interesting that this is one of the songs I played last week at the end of service. I think the cameras were off by this time. I didn't know that this was going to be the message in the series we're going to walk into. But even last week, God was preparing us for what we're getting ready to walk into. Because he's telling us, I'm calling you. Calling you. I need you to answer. I need you to make me your priority above everyone and everything else. What the prophetess of God said to you was right on point, and I know it because she told me first. And as she told me what God gave to her, I told her, go tell her now. Did I not?
Yes, I did, sir.
I know you ain't gonna be disobedient.
So, what she was supposed to tell you and was supposed to give to you was to let you know that the thing that you are dealing with are not just physical, there are still some ties there. Some people. And you're falling back even mentally into some old habits. Dealing with some people you may have no business dealing with that God has been trying to tell you, cut them off. It must be about him and him first. She had no idea that that was in my notes for this message. That he must be your priority. God did the surgery. He's removed them. He's removed it all. You can go back and mess it up if you want to, though. Anybody who's ever had gastric bypass surgery, the shrink your stomach and do all of that, the doctor will tell you, we've done what we need to do. You've got to maintain it. Because if you go back to your old eating habits, you're going to blow up quicker. It's going to be even worse for you. The thing has been removed. Don't go back. Clean your environment. Yes, God. Everything got to go. If he or they have bought it and gave it to you, or if it's in your possession, it's got to go. Trash got to go. Not give away, trash got to go. All of it. You must sever every connection that keeps you tied, unless you like being in pain. Unless you like continually allowing your body to be messed up. And it will get worse. And the reason, I hear you, God, I'm just, Jesus. The reason it's been as bad as it has been is because this is not the first time God has told you this. Yet you have ignored. While we were in Mississippi, deliverance came. And you began to feel better. And because you felt better, you began to fall back into old habits. While trying at the same time to maintain new habits. But the problem is that these two things cannot exist. Light and dark cannot exist in the same space. Choose which God you gonna serve. Will it be the God of you or God? Because here's something you don't know or may not have caught yet. All of this that has come on is not come on because the devil brought it. It's come on because you opened the door and said, come on in. I don't call you out to embarrass you. I call you out to give you what God gave to me in the moment He gave it to me to give to you. The change has to take place. Not just lip service. Action. It must take place. Otherwise, it's going to get worse. And God will shut off not only His ear to you, He'll shut off His ear to us concerning you. I told you when you first came in, fight. And you tried to fight. And you know why it didn't work? God began to speak to me and let me know why it didn't work. Because you didn't hear Him the first time. So He told me during the worship, He said, you pray, son. I need her to feel my power and I need work to do. But I won't do it if she asks me. So I laid hands. I barely got my hands on you before you were halfway on the ground. It was everything Jessica could do to hold you up until we just said, okay, go ahead and hit the ground. Let God do the work. Since that moment, you've barely been up because God has not finished the work. I told you because I heard God say it. Don't get up from here till He finished the work. You got up, sat, back down because God's not finished. He is going to get everything out. And once He gets it all out, you have the choice. Will you hear Him and choose Him? Or will you go back? But I caution you as a prophet, I caution you as your pastor, and I caution you as a friend who's concerned about you. If you don't choose God and God's voice and God's way, it's going to get worse. And I don't want to see it get worse. Because God won't let you die, but He will let you suffer. You must make a choice today. He's calling. He's calling. He's calling. Will you